As Chioma walked through the grand iron gates of the Adeyemi mansion, she had no idea she was stepping into danger. The wind brushed against her skin, carrying with it a strange chill that didn't belong to the Lagos heat. Her small suitcase rolled awkwardly on the marble driveway as she whispered a silent prayer. This job, this one, had to work. She couldn't afford to fail again. The last house had accused her of theft. Before that, another accused her of disrespect. None of it was true. Still, she'd taken the blame. That's what you did when you were desperate. But as the heavy double doors opened, revealing Madame Tani Adeyemi, Chioma's heart skipped a beat. The woman was stunning, tall, graceful, with a beauty that could silence a room, but her eyes were cold. "You must be the new maid," Madame Tani said flatly. "You're late." "I'm sorry, Ma." "The bus broke down on the way," Chioma said quickly. Tenny didn't respond. She just turned and walked inside. "Follow me." The mansion was breathtaking. Glass chandeliers, golden railings, paintings that looked like they cost more than Chioma's entire life. But there was something off. The silence. The way the housekeeper and driver avoided eye contact. The air felt heavy. By nightfall, Chioma was shown to her small quarters near the kitchen. She was unpacking when an older maid, Mama Funka, slipped inside. Her face was pale. "Be careful here," she whispered. "This house is not what it seems." Chioma frowned. "What do you mean?" But before the woman could answer, a sharp voice echoed through the hall. "Mama Funka!" Madame Tenny's tone cut like a knife. The older woman froze. "Go," she whispered, trembling. "Don't ask questions. Just work, and never go upstairs at night." That night, as Chioma lay on her narrow bed, she heard footsteps above. Heavy, deliberate footsteps. Then a soft cry. A woman's cry. It sent chills through her bones. The next morning, she asked the driver, Kunle, about it. He looked around nervously before replying. "You heard it too?" "What was that?" Kunle lowered his voice. "No one knows. But since Madame came into this house, 5 maids have left. One," he hesitated, "disappeared." Chioma felt her chest tighten. "Disappeared how?" Kunle just shook his head. "Don't ask questions if you want to last." For the next few days, Chioma kept to herself. She worked hard, avoided the upper floor, and tried to stay invisible. But Madame Tenny watched her closely. Too closely. Every movement, every mistake, every second glance was met with icy stares. One evening, while cleaning the glass table in the living room, Chioma noticed something strange, a framed photo. It showed Mr. Adeyemi, smiling, his hand around Tenny. But his eyes didn't match the smile. They looked hollow. She hadn't seen him since she arrived. "Madam, where's Oga?" she asked casually. Tenny froze mid-step. Then slowly, she smiled. Traveling, abroad. But something about the way she said it made Chioma's stomach twist. 2 days later, while washing clothes in the backyard, Chioma noticed a small patch of dirt behind the flower bed, freshly dug. She crouched, touching it. The soil was loose, damp, and smelled of something metallic. "Chioma!" She spun around. Madame Tenny stood at the balcony, her eyes piercing through her. "Come inside," she ordered. That night, Chioma couldn't sleep. She heard it again, the footsteps, the cry, this time followed by a faint thud. She got up, barefoot, and crept toward the stairs. Her heart pounded. Halfway up, she froze. There was a shadow, someone standing at the top of the stairs. It wasn't Madame Tenny. It was a man. He turned his head slightly, and Chioma gasped. His face looked pale, almost ghost-like, before vanishing into the darkness. By morning, Chioma decided she needed to leave. She packed her bag, waited until no one was around, and headed for the gate. But before she could step out, the guard blocked her path. "Madam said no one leaves without permission." Chioma's throat went dry. "I just want to go buy soap." "Then leave your bag." She forced a smile and dropped the bag. The guard nodded. 10 minutes. She walked down the street shaking, realizing the truth. She was trapped. When she returned, her room had been searched, her clothes scattered, and in the center of the bed was a note. "You've seen too much." Her heart stopped. And that's when she knew, if she was going to survive this house, she'd have to outsmart everyone. Chioma didn't sleep that night. Every creak in the corridor felt like a whisper of danger. The note on her bed replayed in her mind until dawn. "You've seen too much." By morning, she had made up her mind. If Madame Tenny wanted to play games, she would play too, but smarter. She walked into the kitchen, pretending nothing happened. "Good morning, Ma," she said cheerfully as Madame Tenny entered, dressed in a silk robe, sipping her tea like royalty. Madame smiled faintly, her eyes never leaving Chioma. "You look tired. Bad dreams, Chioma?" Chioma forced a small laugh. "Ah, no, Ma. I just couldn't sleep well. The mosquitoes—" "Good," Tenny said softly. "It's important to sleep. You'll need strength to keep this house clean." There was something in her tone, an undertone that said, "I know what you're hiding." Later that day, Mama Funke cornered Chioma by the laundry room. "You need to leave, before it's too late." "I can't," Chioma whispered. "They're watching the gate. And I think something's happening in that house. I saw a man upstairs last night." Mama Funke's eyes widened. "Then you've seen him." "You shouldn't have." "Who is he?" Chioma asked. The old woman's lips trembled. "Mr. Adedoyin." Chioma froze. "But Madam said he's abroad." "He's not," Funke said, looking around fearfully. "He's here, but not alive." Chioma's skin prickled. "What are you talking about?" Mama Funke shook her head, tears filling her eyes. "That woman, she did something. She keeps his body upstairs, like she can't let go." Chioma staggered back, her mind spinning. "No, that's impossible." "Believe what you want," the old woman whispered. "But if you hear the crying again, don't go near it." That night, Chioma hid in the pantry with her phone, recording audio. Midnight came, and right on cue, she heard it. Footsteps. The soft cry. And then, a whisper. A man's voice, hoarse and broken. "Tenny, please." Chioma's heart thundered. She peeked out from behind the pantry door. Madame Tenny was gliding down the hallway, her nightgown flowing like mist. In her hand she carried a tray, with food. Chioma followed quietly, barefoot. She saw Tenny stop at a locked door at the end of the hallway. She knocked softly. "Darling, I brought your dinner." The door opened slightly. Chioma heard breathing, raspy, faint. She lifted her phone and started recording. Then, Tenny turned suddenly. "Who's there?" Chioma ducked behind the wall, holding her breath. Her phone slipped slightly, hitting the wall with a soft tap. Tenny's voice turned sharp. "Chioma?" Chioma's throat went dry. "Yes, Ma?" she answered, stepping out slowly. "What are you doing up?" I heard noise. I thought maybe Rat Madam's eyes narrowed." "You should be sleeping." "Yes, Ma," Chioma said, bowing quickly. "Sorry, Ma." The next morning, when she checked her phone, the recording was gone, deleted. Her hands shook. Someone had been in her room again. She confronted Kunle, the driver. "Do you know what's happening here?" He sighed deeply. "I don't want to get involved." The last driver who asked questions disappeared too. "Then why are you still here?" Kunle looked at her with tired eyes. "Because leaving isn't as easy as you think. Madam controls everything. Even the police Chioma clenched her fists. I don't care who she controls. I'll find the truth." 2 nights later, she got her chance. Madame Tenny hosted a small dinner party with her friends, women dressed in glitter and secrets. They laughed and drank champagne while Chioma served them quietly. Then one of the women leaned close to Tenny. "You're glowing again, Tenny. What's your secret?" Tenny smiled. "Love that never dies." The table erupted in laughter, but Chioma felt her stomach twist. Later, when everyone was gone, Chioma snuck upstairs. She had stolen the keys from the maid's quarters. Her hands trembled as she fit the key into the forbidden door. It clicked. The room was cold, darker than she expected. The air smelled of decay and perfume. And there, lying on the bed, was a man, pale, motionless, eyes closed. Mr. Adeyemi. Chioma gasped, covering her mouth, but before she could turn, a voice whispered behind her, "Now you've really seen too much." She turned slowly. Madame Tenny stood in the doorway, holding a candle. Her eyes were wild, her smile terrifyingly calm. "I loved him," Tenny whispered, "and I'll never let him go. Not even death can take him from me." Chioma stumbled backward. "You're sick." "Maybe. But you shouldn't have come here." Tenny stepped closer. "Do you know what happens to people who find out my secret?" Chioma's back hit the wall. She glanced at the window. Too far. No escape. Then suddenly, footsteps thundered from the hallway. The door burst open. Mama Funka stood there holding a metal rod. "Run, Chioma!" Tenny screamed. The candle fell. The room went dark. The candle hit the floor and the flames licked up the edge of the curtain. Smoke filled the room as Chioma's heart pounded. She couldn't see Madame Tenny, only her shadow moving wildly in the flickering light. "Run!" Mama Funka screamed again. Chioma stumbled toward the door, coughing, her eyes burning. She grabbed Mama Funka's hand and they tore down the hallway. Behind them, Tenny's voice echoed through the mansion, broken and furious. "You think you can take him from me?" They raced downstairs, but just as they reached the foyer, the front door slammed shut with a deafening bang. The automatic locks clicked into place. Chioma turned to Funky, panicked. "We're trapped!" "Back door!" the old woman gasped. They ran toward the kitchen, smoke trailing from the upstairs landing. But before they reached it, Tenny appeared again, her face smeared with soot, her eyes blazing. "You can't leave," she hissed. "This house is mine." "He's mine. You—" Chioma didn't think. She grabbed the metal tray from the counter and swung it. It hit Tenny across the face with a sharp clang. Tenny screamed, stumbled back, and fell hard against the marble. For a moment, silence. Then the alarm began to blare. Fire alarm, security alarm, everything at once. Red lights flashed across the mansion. "Go!" Mama Funk shouted. They pushed through the kitchen door and ran into the backyard. The gate was still locked. Smoke poured from the upper windows now. The fire was spreading fast. Chioma grabbed a stone and smashed at the padlock. Once, twice, 3 times. It cracked open with a snap. They burst into the street, coughing, gasping, running until the mansion was just a shadow behind them. Minutes later, they collapsed by the roadside, trembling. Mama Funka clutched her chest, crying. "It's over. It's finally over." But Chioma wasn't so sure. The next morning, the police arrived at the scene. The mansion was burned down. Madame Tenny's body was never found. Some said she died in the flames. Others swore they saw her running into the woods before the fire spread. Chioma sat on the curb, wrapped in a blanket, staring at the smoke curling into the dawn sky. An officer approached her. "You're lucky to be alive." "What happened in there?" She hesitated. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." He smiled faintly. "Try me." She looked at him, her eyes hollow but steady. "Madame Tenny killed her husband. She kept his body locked in a room. She said she couldn't let him go." The officer frowned. "Do you have proof?" Chioma shook her head. "Not anymore." The fire took everything. He sighed and closed his notebook. "We'll investigate." But she knew they wouldn't. A week later, Chioma moved into a small apartment in Surulere. She found a new job, this time in a bakery. Her hands trembled whenever someone mentioned the word "madam." She barely slept. Then one evening, as she was closing the bakery, a black SUV parked outside. The tinted window rolled down slightly. A woman's voice called softly, "Chioma." Her heart froze. She turned slowly. The woman's hand slid out from the window, delicate, manicured, familiar. "Did you really think you could outsmart me?" the voice whispered. The SUV drove off before Chioma could move. She ran outside, heart pounding, watching it disappear into the night traffic. The world suddenly felt colder. That night, she couldn't stop thinking about it. Was Tenny alive? Was she watching her? 3 days later, a package arrived at her door. No name, no return address, just her name on a brown envelope. Inside was a photo of Chioma, taken through her apartment window while she was sleeping, and written on the back, in neat cursive letters, "Love never dies." Chioma's scream filled the apartment as she dropped the photo, but when she looked again, there was something else behind it. Another picture, this time of a new maid, standing at the gate of a newly built mansion. The name on the gate read, Tenny's Haven. The new maid's face looked young, innocent, and hopeful, just like Chioma's once did. And in that moment, Chioma realized the game wasn't over. Madame Tenny had simply moved on. Somewhere across town, another girl was walking into danger, thinking it was just a job. If you made it to this point, wow, you're a true fan of stories like this one. Drop a comment below. What do you think happened to Madame Tenny? Did she survive, or did something darker take her place? Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more stories like this, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next twist.